So it's a real pleasure for me to participate in this summit that allows such a diverse collection of participants to compare notes on the intersection of geospatial activities and trends among government, nonprofit, and industry. And I'm a bit overwhelmed by the company I'm keeping here. My background, as you gather, is in technology, not geospatial-related technology. So my experience at EPA is my first real experience working with geospatial, but I'm going to try and hold my own today as we go along. And I'm very pleased to share how we're using geospatial at the EPA to support our mission, and also my thoughts on where the technology is headed in the government and with EPA. So my office at the EPA, the Office of Environmental Information, is responsible for overseeing the agency's technology, infrastructure, and capacity. We also ensure the EPA has access to and uses the best available data and analytical tools to drive our mission and to protect the environment. A big part of that is our responsibility to coordinate geospatial activities across the EPA and to collaborate with our cross-government partners like the Federal Geographic Data Committee, the National Geospatial Platform, and Open Government. The EPA's mission is inherently place-based. Almost all of what we do involves environmental issues at a particular regulated facility or waste site, a wetland, community, watershed, or airshed. Because of this, EPA has been using GIS and remote sensing for over 30 years to support a broad range of activities and decisions. In the early days, there was very little basic data to support environmental analysis, but gradually data and tools have improved, becoming more mainstream and more easily integrated into EPA's mission. We've seen the availability of data and the capability of technology evolve tremendously over the past 3 decades. As many of today's speakers have undoubtedly noted, the use of geospatial tools has exploded in the past decade. GIS has gone from a niche area of expertise that was difficult to integrate with other information systems to the mainstream, from standalone workstations and databases to today's environment of web GIS, shared services, and cloud-based collaboration platforms and mobile applications. Within the EPA, we have seen the progress of GIS and information-based decision-making the most rapidly in the area of emergency response. Geospatial data management and visualization in support of emergency response have become essential tools for the EPA when dealing with large responses and removal actions. We can trace this evolution, starting with the World Trade Center response, through Hurricane Katrina, Deepwater Horizon, and Hurricane Sandy. The trend from response to response has been from paper to digital, from single agency use of information to interagency information sharing. Meanwhile, the time required to turn data into actionable information has declined each and every year. The Deepwater Horizon spill in the Gulf of Mexico involved so many organizations sharing data and situational information that it clarified the need for a government-wide geospatial information sharing platform. That need evolved into the National Geospatial Platform, geoplatform.gov. I know you've already heard the story of geoplatform.gov during this conference, so I won't go into detail. But I do want to share that EPA was one of the agencies that has and continues to contribute to this effort. We see it as a vital service required to realize the benefits of a national spatial data infrastructure for the United States. In parallel with the national effort, EPA began its own internal effort in 2011 to develop the EPA Geo Platform. Some of the goals of this effort were to reduce expense by eliminating the inefficiency of multiple offices building specific applications that didn't share common data, services, and functions, to make it easier for the agency to use geospatial tools and technologies and data services, and to promote more consistency and standardization of look and feel of map products and applications. Along with the Department of Interior, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and others, we've made our agency efforts test beds for the national effort. The EPA Geo Platform has a number of components. There's a cloud-based software as a service component using the ArcGIS Online for Organization subscription that's part of our license with Esri. ArcGIS Online provides the collaboration space for staff to share applications, maps, and data with constituencies ranging from small groups to the general public. There's also the geospatial hosting environment within our data center at the National Computing Center in North Carolina. This solution serves spatial applications of data for the agency. This virtualized environment supports testing, development, and production for the EPA's geospatial efforts. Built on top of that technology platform is a collection of core spatial data services that are shared among many applications and tools, along with a metadata service, the environmental data set gateway that supports internal and external data discovery. None of this would work without the right technical support and governance. We built a strong team of staff and contractors that manage infrastructure, develop SOPs for publishing, documenting, and sharing data and tools, and performing outreach and training. The number of EPA GeoPlatform users has grown dramatically since we launched the platform in May of 2012, starting with about 400 and now at 2,300 users. And EPA staff share thousands of data services and web maps to help get their work done. EPA geospatial data can be accessed from both desktop and web tools, as well as a wide variety of tools, applications, and story maps that are shared with the public. Virtually every new rule, every new action the EPA takes includes a story map, includes geospatial information that's shared with the public to explain the reasons for what the EPA is doing. This effort's been a huge success, and I think some of the elements that have made it successful are worth sharing. So agency leadership commitment to this effort has been vital. That has included early and ongoing executive sponsorship by our Deputy Administrator, along with support by geospatial leads across our national program and regional offices. We've institutionalized a governance process that ensures stakeholder involvement at multiple levels of the organization, and a funding mechanism that encourages adoption has been critical. Starting in 2014, we built funding for GeoPlatform operations and maintenance into the per-user desktop charge for IT. This creates the incentive, or at least eliminates the disincentive, for a high level of utilization by eliminating the question of who's going to pay for each new user on the system. Another key success factor for the effort has been the iterative effort involving a number of business line pilots, a large number of user needs interviews, and shared implementation across many offices. Many things have been tried along the way, and things that didn't work were discarded, and the whole platform has improved in reliability and functionality over time. As a result, we are much more nimble in designing and delivering interactive map content to support EPA communications. To make a public web mapping application before the GeoPlatform, a program would have to develop the app, set up a server, develop a security plan, and deploy the solution. This whole process could take many months, and the government just getting authority to operate the security portion can take months by itself. In these cases, often the solution would come online long after the map would have had its maximum value. With this platform, staff simply design an application and most of the overhead is eliminated. As an example, you may have heard last week about our Clean Power Plan announcement, made a few headlines here and abroad. So there were a number of announcements over the past year related to Clean Power Plan that included story maps as critical parts of that message. Most of those story maps were developed and deployed over the course of 1 to 3 days. And they seem to have an uncanny ability to want those on a holiday weekend. So they would usually ask us Friday afternoon on a holiday weekend, and staff would work over the weekend to get those maps out and ready for Tuesday morning. So I want to close with some thoughts on where we see the platform approach going over the next few years. We see geospatial technology becoming more and more integrated with other technologies and collaboration systems over time. The past year, we integrated our agency single sign-on with ArcGIS Online, allowing users to access their accounts seamlessly. And this opens doors for us to linking spatial capabilities to other collaboration tools. We're in the process of pushing out a plugin for Microsoft Office 365 that allows agency staff to perform sophisticated mapping and visualization from within Excel and PowerPoint. And next year, we plan to do something similar in SharePoint. And we expect to continue making these linkages between the GeoPlatform and other tools and collaboration platforms. We're also seeing tremendous benefit from shared development. We have a growing geospatial developers community that is developing shared spatial application templates, code, and widgets that are documented and shared through GitHub, which is a code repository if you're not familiar with GitHub. Most of this will be shared with other agencies and the public. And a big focus of this group over the next year is to develop cross-platform support, especially so that we can have mobile support for our field users. And a key theme going forward will be reuse of code and sharing. In June, EPA publicly released an application called EJ Screen that supports screening for potential environmental justice concerns anywhere in the country for over a dozen environmental risks and demographic indices. We've already released a widget that allows communities to embed this tool in their own sites and are working on documenting underlying data and code to allow other organizations to use the component in their own tools. Taking that a step further, you can imagine environmental justice as one of many potential community sites under geoplatform.gov. Our focus going forward is scalability. We have a team working to expand the GeoPlatform to add capabilities for advanced analytics and visualization. We want to create an environment where EPA analysts can look at problems from multiple perspectives, and geospatial analysis is a fundamental element of that. I hope this provides you with a good perspective of EPA's geospatial strategy and programs and some insight into the federal government efforts as well.